In the early 1970s, Los Angeles had two sides. The one everyone saw, the glossy postcard beaches of Malibu, the tan surfers, and the clean blue sky. And then there was the other side, the stretch of sand between Ocean Park and Venice, where broken concrete met the Pacific and the air smelled like salt, rust, and rebellion. The locals called it Dogtown. Dogtown wasn't Malibu. It was rough, loud, and gritty. The kind of place where kids skipped school, surfed before sunrise, and fought over scraps of beach. But inside that chaos, something new was forming. A handful of kids from the neighborhood were about to change Los Angeles forever. Their home base was Jeff Ho Surfboards and Zephyr Productions, a small surf shop on Main Street, Santa Monica, just a few blocks from Bay Street. It was part board factory, part clubhouse. The owners, Jeff Ho, a brilliant board shaper, and Skip Engblom, a fast-talking mentor, weren't just selling surfboards. They were building a tribe. Artist Craig Stexic documented it all in photos and graffiti-styled posters that gave the place its mythic edge. The kids who hung around the shop called themselves the Z-Boys, short for the Zephyr Surf and Skate Team. They weren't rich. They weren't polite. They were the wild kids from Venice and Ocean Park who didn't fit anywhere else. But when they surfed, they made chaos look beautiful, crouched low, dragging their hands across the wave face, exploding off the lip like they were breaking gravity. When the surf went flat, they turned to the streets. And that's where things started to change. In the early 1970s, skateboards were still toys. Thin wooden planks with clay wheels that barely rolled. Then came the urethane revolution. A young skater named Frank Nasworthy introduced Cadillac wheels around 1972, and suddenly skateboards gripped pavement like surfboards gripped waves. That tiny change unlocked an entire world. On the west side, the Z-Boys started hitting schoolyard banks. Places like Kenter, Paul Revere, and Bellagio carving turns the way they did in the water. They moved with power and flow, dragging fingers across the concrete like it was a wave face. It wasn't neat or technical. It was aggressive, creative, and alive. Then the California drought hit in 1976 to 77. Pools all over Los Angeles were drained to save water, leaving behind smooth, empty bowls. Most people saw wasted space. The Z-Boys saw opportunity. They started sneaking into backyards, Beverly Hills, Venice, anywhere they could find an empty pool. They'd hop fences, sweep out the dust, and drop in. What they discovered inside those kidney-shaped bowls would transform skateboarding forever. They were the first to push into vertical skating, driving up the walls, slashing, carving, sometimes catching air off the coping. It was dangerous, illegal, and electric. The sound of urethane wheels scraping concrete became the new soundtrack of Dogtown. Soon their style, the low crouch, the surf lines, the fluid aggression, spread through photos in Skateboarder magazine, mostly shot by Craig Stexic and photographer Glenn Friedman. The images captured something no one had seen before: motion, rebellion, and youth all colliding at once. In September 1975, the Z-Boys hit the Bon Cadillac National Championships in Del Mar, the biggest skate contest in America. The event was full of polite kids skating upright, doing clean tricks. Then the Zephyr team rolled in from Venice, tan, barefoot, hungry, and blew the place apart. They carved the course, crouched like surfers, hands dragging inches above the pavement. It wasn't even supposed to count as competition. But that day, skateboarding changed. By the next year, the Z-Boys were famous. Names like Tony Alva, Stacy Peralta, Jay Adams, Jim Muir, Bob Biniak, Shogo Kubo, and Peggy Oki, the team's only female rider, started appearing in magazines and sponsorship deals. Alva, charismatic and fearless, became the sport's first rock star, launching Alva Skates in 1977. Peralta, methodical and visionary, co-founded Powell Peralta in 1978 and later created the Bones Brigade, bringing a new generation of legends into the spotlight. But not everyone handled fame the same way. Jay Adams, the youngest of them all, was pure Dogtown energy, raw, untamed, and gifted beyond reason. He hated competitions, hated commercialization, and hated anything that turned skating into business. Jay lived for the streets, and the streets eventually caught up with him. Drugs, jail time, and a lifetime of chaos followed. Yet everyone who saw him skate agreed Jay Adams was the soul of the movement. The original Zephyr shop shut down in 1976, and the team splintered soon after. The empty pools got filled, the drought ended, and the city cracked down on trespassing. But what the Z-Boys started could never be stopped. Their pool sessions led directly to the rise of vert ramps, skate parks, and modern freestyle. Every kick turn, every grind, every trick born after came from their DNA. Dogtown itself began to change too. The old Pacific Ocean Park Pier, where many of them first surfed, finally collapsed and was demolished by the city. Venice became gentrified, the streets painted over, the walls scrubbed clean. But for anyone who was there, those years still live in memory. The heat, the sound of wheels, the thrill of knowing you were doing something no one had ever done before. The Z-Boys didn't just redefine skateboarding, they redefined Los Angeles. They took a forgotten corner of the city and turned it into a movement that spread worldwide. Every skater today, whether they know it or not, is riding the ripple those Venice kids created. Because Dogtown wasn't about fame or money or trophies. It was about invention, about taking what the city left behind, an abandoned pier, an empty pool, a dead neighborhood, and making it yours. And that's what those kids did. They turned concrete into art, rebellion into style, and Los Angeles into the birthplace of modern skate culture. They didn't follow rules, they made them. Even now, if you walk down Main Street early in the morning, when the waves crash against the seawall and the light hits the old storefronts just right, you can almost hear it, the sound of urethane wheels rolling over rough pavement. That's the sound of Dogtown, and it never really stopped.